Hey, it's Isaiah here at PAX West 2018. I'm here with James Pryor from AMD. We're at the booth. It's pretty awesome. They have a lot of products that we want to talk about today. So let's get into it, James.
Yeah.
The first thing, what is your title, I should say? What is your business here at AMD?
I'm a Senior Product Manager with the Client Business Unit, so I'm working on the product management and business development for Ryzen and Ryzen Threadripper.
Awesome. So I know a few months ago, was it the beginning of August when Threadripper 2 got announced, 32 core, it very much crushes Intel. Like, I know Intel is trying to say, hey, we got something too, but AMD is really up there. We're going to focus on gaming because AMD right now has a very high core count, thread count, so we know that AMD can do a lot of multitasking. But when it comes down to Ryzen, which is another gaming platform, how does that compete against kind of Intel right now?
I think it competes very well. I think we've been quite good in our product nomenclature. Like, the 32 core is a WX. WX means workstation. It's intended for high-end content creators, professionals, that kind of stuff. So we've got a very strong approach there with our multi-thread performance advantage for mega tasking, all of those good things. And then our X series are for more the balanced approach, gaming and streaming, or creators who want to have massive performance in many different areas, but also occasionally game too. But if you're focused on pure gaming, then you're going to really like the Ryzen series. Ryzen 7 versus Core i7. Both have great gaming experiences, but obviously with our advantage in multi-thread performance, lets you do more. You can get higher quality streaming, higher quality video editing, more performance in other applications, just a better overall scalable platform. That's the advantage that Ryzen and AM4 brings to the table.
Awesome. So I have a question that's kind of poking at AMD, and I know I talked about it quietly before, but AMD has been known to have memory scaling issues. Above 3200 DDR4, AMD tends to not perform. You see threads on the internet, you see reviews, people saying people can't run it. Has AMD fixed this, or are they working towards it?
Absolutely. So part of understanding the issue is knowing what's going on, right? So from a standards perspective, there's JEDEC, which is the governing body that defines how fast memory is supposed to run, what are the timings, what are the voltages, and AMD has consistently been first to the highest new specifications. You've seen that with Ryzen and Ryzen Threadripper in the second generation. We're first to 2933 support across both those products. So when you go into the overclocking arena and you start looking at XMP, you start to see things that look a little bit different because it's not tuned for Ryzen, right? Ryzen came out after these memory kits were put in the market. So we're working real time in public, under the covers, and in front of everybody else of how do we support these overclocking memory kits. I think we made a lot of strides inside of our product with updates to the firmware, the BIOS, getting us support. You've seen a lot more guys on second gen Ryzen and Ryzen Threadripper hitting 3200 just simply and easily. 3600 is now much more doable on Ryzen than you've ever seen it before. And that's because of the improvements we put into our firmware, our motherboard design with the X470, B450 motherboards, the latest generation of X399 motherboards. And we're also working with the memory partners as well, right? So you can go to G.Skill, Guile, HyperX, Crucial, Corsair. They all have memory kits specifically certified for Ryzen with memory overclocking, right? More than 60 kits and 150 different variations or thereabouts of memory kits that are specifically tested for overclocking on Ryzen. So big change in the ecosystem since we launched just 18 months ago when nobody knew how to overclock memory on Ryzen. Now that knowledge is just flooding through the industry and it's getting better every day.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of forums out there that say, hey, I found workarounds before, and now I feel like AMD has kind of implemented those workarounds to make it robust and everything. But talking about platforms, the Threadripper 2 uses the X399 chipset and socket and everything. Was there a reason why you didn't change to a different socket? Was it necessary to keep the same, or you just want a compatibility, or what was your take on that?
Well, when we defined our second gen Threadripper, compatibility was a strong thought in our mind. We wanted to make sure everybody could use the same motherboards and sockets and just upgrade however they want to, or buy the new platform and have a great big ecosystem of choice. Now when you look at AM4, we've got like 140 different motherboard models. That's a beautiful set of designs. That's a lot, right? When you go to Threadripper, because of the higher price points, the increased features, the target market, we're down to about 10 or 12 boards. So revolving and evolving each one of those didn't make sense, right? We didn't want to do it. The motherboard partners didn't want to do it. There wasn't a strong feedback from the market of these are the features that are missing. So it made a lot of sense just to take the existing X399. But the number one reason was we didn't have to do much to enable a new processor other than a BIOS update. And all the X399 boards have USB updating capabilities. You don't even need a processor in most of them. You just put the file on the USB stick, mash the button, updated, now it boots your Threadripper and for full performance. So from an enablement perspective, it was very important to us to make sure that we continued that legacy of AMD compatibility. It's a very strong asset, I think, to the market. And I think it's being shown off by just how many people are excited about second gen Threadripper just 1 year after the first gen, even at the 16 core, which is launching today.
So I got a question you might not be able to answer, but we're talking about memory.
Yep.
And so this Threadripper 2 or Ryzen 2 has better memory compatibility. Is that built into the memory controller of the CPU, or is that kind of more BIOS related?
It's a little bit of both. We did put in some hardware tweaks when we took our design from 14 nanometer down to 12 nanometer, going to the Zen Plus core architecture, looked at some tweaks in the silicon level to improve compatibility. Like we reduced the L1, L2, L3 cache latencies, reduced the latency on the memory controller, and that helped a little bit. A lot of work on the BIOS side for the firmware of how to use overclock memory. And then our partners with our X470 and B450 motherboards also applied the learnings that they had over the last year of Ryzen into their new designs. So that's why you'll see going from a first gen and a 300 series board to a second gen and a 400 series board, a significant uplift. But they're cross compatible, so you can get the benefits of each with each way.
Yeah, so I have another question. This is pertaining to more of the AMD gaming side. I know that that's not your forte. You do everything, but the video cards is not really your big thing. AMD or NVIDIA just released their ray tracing technology, and you were telling me that AMD has a similar function already they released I didn't know about?
Yeah, absolutely. On March 19th, we announced the AMD ProRender ray tracing plugin. So you got Radeon Rays out there already. It's part of our GPU Open program. So you can use that today. Developers have access to it on current existing hardware with drivers already out there to go test out ray tracing with real-time ray tracing for a professional workstation or whatever they want to use it for. It's available right now.
So you think that's going to come to the gaming side? I mean, you said it's workstation video cards. You think the gaming Radeon is going to get the same functionality?
Yeah, it's already there. So it's the same you're leveraging the hardware. You've got the performance options available. It's just a matter for the developers to pick it up. So from that perspective, we've had 6 months lead time to get that started. It's really nice. Now everybody sees the industry all aligned and going the same way. I think we've got a strong case for why ProRender, why Radeon ray tracing is going to be a strong asset for us.
So basically, if the developer puts time into it, they can take the plugin for NVIDIA's RTX and they can replace it with your guys' kind of ray tracing open source version, right?
I don't really know that much detail about how developers are implementing ray tracing, but yeah, I pretty much assume that you could take out the proprietary module, go to the GPU Open, and just write your code, and there it goes. Ray tracing.
I have one final question here. When it comes to Ryzen, your guys are pushing for gaming. Ryzen's the gaming platform. Threadripper is kind of the workstation platform. How do you feel about the leaked information about the i9 99K from Intel's 8-core, 16-thread CPU? You think it's kind of going to compete with AMD Ryzen, or you think you're still going to be on top of that after it comes out?
That's an interesting question, right? I think gamers right now are not asking for more cores and threads, especially at higher price points. They're asking for just smooth gaming and a beautiful experience, and they can buy that today with Ryzen 5 and Core i5 and Ryzen 7 and Core i7. So when that new product comes to market, whatever it looks like, I don't know what it's going to be, then it's going to have to be all about the price point competitor. Last week we had, actually 2 weeks ago, when we announced the WX processor, the 2990 WX, world's fastest desktop consumer processor, 32 cores, 64 threads, we also announced some new pricing for Ryzen Threadripper first generation. So now they're going to be coming into a market where you can buy a Ryzen Threadripper 1920X for $399 US. So that's 12 cores, 24 threads, massive multi-thread capabilities, massive PCIe capabilities, tons of cache, overclockable, massive amount of awesome performance in the socket. I don't know that everyone's going to be convinced with a little bit more multi-thread when there's already a lot more multi-thread at the price point. So it really comes back to, I think we've set up the Ryzen stack to beautifully scale with multi-thread performance over price to enable people who are looking for different experiences to get what they want, right? You can get the best gaming experience with Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7 today. What is extra cores and threads going to give you? Is it gaming performance, or is it multitasking? Is it content creation? And now if that's what you're excited about, AMD is right there with Ryzen Threadripper, and now in our second generation.
Awesome. So this is going to wrap it up. We're out of time, unfortunately, but we're at PAX West 2018. This is the AMD booth. If you see this video, go check it out. Talk to James. He knows a lot about these products. And of course, we have more videos coming on later today, so stay tuned.